The technology took 10 years to develop the technology from 1987 to 1997. It was developed in Taiwan by a team of scientists led by Dr. Chang. And they were asked by a Japanese company, can you create like that, a wonderful energy that heals, that's in the hot springs in southern Japan where people go and they get healed. And it turned out there's a preponderance of that energy, far infrared energy. And so when the Relax Sauna company, and they couldn't do it using regular technologies, all the other saunas in America or in the world use either carbon panels or ceramic. They're all, some people say carbon's better, ceramic's better. Some people use a little bit of both, but I'm talking about a totally different technology of semiconductor chips that actually takes the energy, the frequency, the electricity, and filters out and only gives you the far infrared light.
Aloha and welcome to another show, guys. Today my special guest is Phil Wilson. He actually reached out to me after listening to one of my episodes, and I'm honored that he did. Phil has been in the holistic health space for decades, known for his work with far infrared technology and the Relax Sauna. He also had a powerful Kundalini awakening that shifted his entire course of life. And we also talked about the science behind the infrared light and how it supports the body on a cellular level, and why he believes this technology is one of the most important tools for healing in our time. Now, Phil was kind enough to offer us 2 discount codes for anyone interested in purchasing a Relax Sauna. Now, here's the deal. He gave us 2 codes because he misspelled my name, so you can use either codes. They both will work, either Miya 2025 or Miya. Feel free to use either codes. And again, I don't receive any commission or benefits from the codes Phil gave us. They're simply a gift from Phil to you as a listener. Now, before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe, follow, and hit that bell so you never miss an episode. And if you'd like to support the show, you can check out my website where I've curated a list of books and products I actually use and love. And when you purchase through those links, that's where I will receive a small commission at no extra cost to you. You can also support the show directly through Buy Me a Coffee. And please join my Patreon for bonus content and early access. It's no charge to you at all. My Patreon is completely free. Now, without further ado, let's get into it with Phil Wilson. Enjoy the show.
I had a health food store for 45 years.
Wow.
And I've been into fasting and holistic health and purifying the body. And that came along with my spirituality. I had an out-of-body experience in 1970 in February. I didn't even know I had an out-of-body experience, but I got connected with the sound current, with that connection. Once you drink of this water, you never thirst again. So that happened to me, and I started purifying my body, and I was forced to get into holistic health, which I had not been into before at all. I was just, I ate totally normal diet. I mean, I wasn't into junk food that much, but my body chemistry, totally changed. And then I had a Kundalini awakening. A year and a half later, I met some yogi on campus at Ohio State University and showed me some techniques, and I was at a whole nother level. Okay. So basically it forced me even further to get into fasting and totally immersed me into holistic health because I couldn't eat anything without my body reacting.
Wow.
I couldn't eat. I ate meat. I think I had ham about 3 days later. And it's like it took me about 8 hours of meditating where my mind could function. And 3 days later, I had a steak and the same thing happened. So I couldn't even eat an egg without it clogging. I was meanwhile doing these intense Kriya yoga techniques, and I was meditating, stretching, doing yoga, and doing this techniques for about 6 hours every morning from about 6 a.m. to noon before I felt healthy enough to go out into the world. I was in the math department. They gave me a year to taking courses in philosophy, perception, um, creativity, psychology, communications, dance, modern dance. I studied Plato. That was my favorite class, existentialism. And this is after a year of being a graduate student in the PhD program in mathematics at Ohio State University. I got an honors degree in math at Indiana University, and I was a quasi child prodigy in mathematics. I was Mr. Math for my high school in my city. I finished like third and fourth and second in the state and national and statewide math exams in the state of Indiana. So that's a little bit of my history. And then I was a thinker, and I was becoming a feeler because of that out of body experience where they took me out of my body and they showed me the overhang of about 9 indoor handball courts and told me that I was too left brain. I needed to get involved in music, art, and dance. I had to become a feeler. The book that expresses this transformation is by Herman Hesse. You've heard of him. He wrote Steppenwolf, and he wrote Siddhartha. And
No.
then, have you heard of him?
No.
He's one of the most prolific writers in the 30s and 40s in Germany, and his books were embraced in the late 60s and early 70s by so many of the people who got into Alan Watts. They got into Ram Dass, and they were embracing the yoga movement, the LSD movement, the marijuana movement, the hippies, Woodstock. The Herman Hesse was like one of the great heroes, because here he was, a man from the past, writing all about the transformation of an individual from becoming normal to all of a sudden awakening to their true nature. And like the caterpillar goes through the vortex and becomes a butterfly, the moth goes to the flame and becomes greater. Rumi's poem, I died as a mineral, I became a plant, I rose to animal and then became a human. Here, what makes me ever think that I've ever become less by dying? In other words, in the world of duality that we live in, birth and death are the on the same coin, different sides of the same coin. When you die, you have to be rebirthed because you can't not exist. Try to imagine yourself not existing. It's not possible. I am in this human body. I acknowledge that. It happens to be a male body that I'm in right now, this lifetime. But just like, I can remind you and say, oh, yeah, I did that when I was 8. So I remember a couple scenes from a couple past lifetimes where I was in the sandbox with this lady, and I was 4 and she was 3, and we were in India, and she was my little sister that lifetime, and we were really good friends this lifetime. I remember I was shown while meditating that I was in India, and I just turned 50, and I said, this is great. The Hindu scripture says, when you turn around the age of 50 and you have finished your worldly duties, now you can devote all your life to spirit, God, to unfolding spiritually, to on your road to enlightenment. And so I left my wife and 2 kids at exactly the age of 50, probably the next day, and went off into a cave and meditate, not realizing I had not finished my worldly duties, nor was it exactly at age 50 you're supposed to do that. So, I was shown while meditating They asked me if I wanted to see why my girlfriend in 1969, 70 had to leave me. And it's because I need to experience being left, because I had left. I had abandoned my responsibilities, my wife, my two kids. I had abandoned them. So I needed to be abandoned to learn that karmic lesson. And so then I asked him, well, who is it that I left in that lifetime? And this little redheaded girl appeared and said it was me. Now, my girlfriend was a blonde, so I was a little perplexed by that. And then, I showed up the next day teaching, substitute teaching in the 10th grade class at one of the better high schools in Columbus, Ohio. I was a substitute teacher. And in the second grade class, there she was. Oh my God. In the first class, um, was a woman who was attending a class that I was teaching on spiritual awareness and spiritual exercises and having experiences in the other world. So, basically, um, I said, wow. And so I just, that was like a John the Baptist and a Jesus kind of thing. And so the one woman, who was attending my class, I didn't even know she was in high school. I thought she was just a college student. And she says, oh, what are you doing here? Well, I'm your teacher for the day. So that was sort of cool. But in the second class, there was this girl, and she was a little immature. And I said, okay. And I did my best not to, call on her too many times and not to ignore her. And then I thought for 30, 40 years that was the woman I had been, it was like a decoy. Spirit just, they have a sense of humor. It's like in the American Indian, they call it the, what is that animal? But anyway, there's an animal they call it that's the jokester. And so later on, after I got married in 2012, 3, 4 years in the marriage, I said, "Oh my God, my ex-wife is the one who I had married, and two of her kids, one kid all the time, and another kid about 1/3 to half the time lived with me. So I was finishing out that karma. And this time, when we got divorced, and we're still great friends. I did it right instead of doing it wrong. So, it's like I was really intrigued by what karma was back in 1970, 71, 72. And I remember asking this one guy what karma was. He was supposedly wise, and he was a yogi. And there was only three of us doing yoga back in 1970 in Columbus, Ohio. Three who we were asked to teach a class for the Free University. And we met, we decided really we weren't qualified. We just didn't. Turned out 8 months later, I started teaching a yoga class as part of the other classes I was teaching. I was teaching a class on well, first I was helping my roommate co-teach a course on getting in touch with the creative potential. And the first trimester and the second trimester, I was teaching a class called Creative Consciousness in the Here and Now and Yogi Philosophy. And the third trimester, I was teaching that same class, a group meditation class, and a hatha yoga class. And it just happened. I was lit because I had that Kundalini awakening after I'd had the near body experience. So, or the not the near body, but the out of body experience, which is frankly an out of body experience is really an in the body experience, because most of us aren't coordinated with our body. We're all out of our bodies. We're all out of our minds, and I think one of the things I learned from the Steppenwolf book by Herman Hesse. You've heard of that book?
No.
That's a classic. Anyone into spiritual awareness, into yoga, I think Siddhartha by Herman Hesse and Steppenwolf by Herman Hesse, are must reads. As part of the foundation of what life's about, as you are embarking a whole new understanding of life, as you start to awaken to the lies that you bought. And now in this greater society, the society is reflecting by lying, most of us are becoming aware that the media lies all the time, the government lies all the time, and we thought it was just a little bit of the time. But I mean, it's gotten to a point where, oh my gosh, I'm just visiting the planet. I don't live here. It's just, one more lifetime. I am not male. I'm not female. I am. I've always existed. Um, I have a body. Daniel Brinkley says we are spiritual light beings. In my business, I sell the Relax Sauna. It's a far infrared sauna, relaxsaunas.com. And we are actually far infrared light, invisible light beings, as well as spiritual beings. And we shine far infrared light where it's invisible light, but you can feel it when a person hugs you. You can feel the far infrared light coming from them. When you go into the Relax Sauna, that I promote at many of the conferences I go to, it feels like your grandma's giving you the most wonderful, loving hug. It gets you into the present moment where we are, and it feels like you're basking in divine love. It's truth serum because you feel like you're being hugged, and it grounds you, and you feel like you're in the present moment of time. I have a great definition of pain. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
It's the awareness of time. Have you ever worried?
Of course.
That's very painful, isn't it?
Yes.
Have you ever hurried?
Yes.
That's painful, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Have you ever waited?
Yes.
Yeah, watch pot never boils.
Yes.
But I found a way to watch a pot where it boils, but you're not watching it.
Mm.
You're gazing.
Mm.
In other words, you're putting your attention on becoming still. You're sitting there and getting your body straight. Maybe push your tummy out, and then you let it breathe you. You refuse to breathe. You push your tummy out, and then it starts breathing you. In other words, breath surrender is a myth. Breath control is a myth. It's called breath surrender. They're opposites. You can't breath surrender without breath control. They're one and the same. It's responsibility and freedom. They're one and the same. If you're not free, you're not responsible. If you're not responsible, you cannot be free. The fool, see, if you think you're free and you're not responsible, you're a fool. If you're responsible and you think you're free, you're fooling yourself. Okay? Because you got to be both, and if you're not, it's a lie. Now, talking about belief, I don't believe in beliefs. Because when you believe something, you're implying that you don't know it. And I'm into knowing this. Now, it's important to feel the presence of the divine, but more importantly, it's to know that it's there. And whenever you need it, it will be there, whether you can feel it or not. And when it's there, you'll be able to feel it. And it's the trusting. In other words, it's all about purification. That's why I'm really excited that I promote the Relax Sauna, because it's one of the most incredible items, energy medicine devices that you can purchase to purify the cell. A washing machine washes every fiber of the clothes. Okay, and it does that by the water cleanses every fiber. It's like, I mean, it's hard to believe, actually, if you think about it, that this water, can actually, you've got the clothes that are solid, and you're going to tell me that the water is going to actually interfere with the integrity of the clothes? And I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's called saturated. It's the clothes are saturated with the water. We call that wet. Wet? What a concept. Wow. I never heard of that before. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and put this clothes in this water, and it gets really heavy because it's saturated with water. Wow. And you're telling me that the water is cleansing every fiber of those clothes? Yeah. So here we have the Relax Sauna. It's a far infrared sauna, and you have this far infrared light, a certain frequency of light that's the same as human energy, and it's going to saturate our body. I said, yeah, the light's going to go in your body, it's going to penetrate. Well, how is that possible? Well, it just doesn't. Go out into the hot sun, close your eyes, and you feel this incredible warmth to the core of your being, like you don't want to ever leave. You feel so good. That's called the light is penetrating and being absorbed by your body, and it's cleansing and purifying every cell of your body. No way. Yeah, yeah. And the relaxed sauna, when you get into it, that light, it's invisible, but it's even though it's invisible, it's a light. So the inside of the sauna tent or the outside of the sauna tent is silver. That's like a mirror. So it bounces. So you're absorbing the light from every nook and cranny of the tent. It's going in your body and cleansing every cell and vibrating the water molecules. And when it vibrates the water molecules, it's like 100 people in a small room dancing. It's gonna get hot, really hot. And so that's when Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, chimes in and says, wow, I've said for years, if you can find a way to create a fever in your body, I'll be able to cure you of any disease. And so that's the secret. It's called hyperthermia. And so by all the water molecules in your body, it's going to also, according to Dr. Yamaguchi, who does a lot of research in Japan on far infrared energy, he says the 7 to 14 micron frequency will penetrate the body, and only that frequency. It's far infrared energy, and it will cause the water molecules to vibrate, and that will weaken the ionic bonds. And then it will release from your body that the water was trapping poisonous, toxic gases and heavy metals. It will also, as we talked about, it'll increase your body temperature because every water cell is dancing, and that will increase. And when you increase the body temperature and have a fever, that will increase circulation, lower blood pressure, get rid of inflammation, get rid of stagnant areas of your body where mold and bacteria can grow. It will flood the body with oxygen. It'll get rid of parasites and not all of them. The hotter you get, the more it will kill parasites, and it will can kill viruses and stuff like that, and anaerobic bacteria. But the most exciting thing about the far infrared energy, especially in the relaxed sauna, more so than other saunas, significantly because we use semiconductor chips, we're 3 or 4 or 5 times more potent and therapeutic than an $8,000 wooden infrared sauna, and we only sell for $1,700 or $2,300. But we actually vibrate the water molecules, increase the body temperature, and activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And so I've done about 500 shows in the last 23 years, and a lot of them are medical doctors, functional medicine doctors, and they go in the sauna, and it feels like your grandma's giving you a loving hug, or you're in the present moment of time. And when you're in the present moment of time, remember, there's no pain. So in 5 to 7 minutes, it will get rid of a person's pain, 100% to 50% of the pain every time without sweating. If you want to have a sweat, you go in the relaxed sauna with no clothes on. You put 2 towels on the chair, a folded towel and then a draped towel. 20 minutes, you'll have the best sweat of your life by far, ever. You'll write home about it. And but in 5 to 7 minutes, you can get rid of 50% to 100% of your pain with your clothes on without sweating. So this is what I do as a merchant. I'm really not a merchant. I just masquerade as a merchant. I was told in 1984 by a reader that I was a sage masquerading as a merchant. She was like, "Oh my God!" And see, there's a how do I get my body out there so I can share what I've discovered through my out of body experience, through my Kundalini awakening, through all my travels in the inner worlds that I've had for 55 years. Before that, I was naive. I didn't know anything. And when I started to awaken, I was saying, how come everyone else in the world knows what life's about but me? I mean, I couldn't believe it because I became aware that I knew nothing. Socrates in Grecian times was told that the Oracle of Delphi had spoken, and when asked who's the wisest man in Greece, it said Socrates. He said, "No way, Jose. I don't know nothing." And he A couple of years later, he said, well, let me do some research. He went all the wise men in Greece, and he was surprised. They all thought they knew something. He said, I'm the only one who knows enough to know that I know nothing. And for right. So anyway, that's an introduction. My name is Philip Wilson. I have two websites, relaxsaunas.com. The book that's coming out in August is called Pictures of the Mind. The subtitle of the book is Freeing Yourself from Beliefs That No Longer Serve You. So the website is picturesofthemind.com. Philip A. Wilson with two L's in Philip is my other website. So those are the three websites I have. If you want to purchase a relaxed sauna for any reason, like maybe you're unhealthy or have chronic pain, or you want to feel better, or you're an athlete who wants to perform better, go to Relax Saunas with an S.com, relaxsaunas.com, and use the code Miya25, MAYA25, and you'll get $100 off the sauna when you check out. At checkout, it'll ask you if a discount code, and that'll actually, we're going to make that until the end of May. We're going to make it Miya25 is going to be $150 off, and June 1st, it'll then revert back to being $100 off. So that's to encourage anyone listening. I don't know how many followers you have, but
Yeah,
I've
we
been
hit over 5,000 just recently, just from YouTube.
well, that's incredible. Again, uh, tell me a little bit more about you, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about me. But first, I wanted to tell you about beliefs. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Number one, I don't believe in beliefs. I mentioned that if I believe something,
Hmm.
then I'm implying I don't know it. And in the field of health, we notice a certain vegetables and fruits resemble organs of the human body, like a walnut resembles the brain. So, I wonder if walnuts are good for the brain. Kidney beans,
Hmm.
resemble the kidney. And there's a
Hmm.
whole lot of the others that are sort of obvious, but I can't think of them now. But the, the signature of the word belief, the way it's spelled, gives you a good indication of what a belief is. So you spell belief, B-E, and then it continues Lie. Wow. Okay. And then it has an F on it, or a VE if you want to believe. So it's implying that maybe a belief is a lie. Well, see, in a sense, every statement I make is a half truth and a half lie. When I'm on my GPS, it says I should turn right. And then a minute later, then I turned left. I said, you just told me to turn right. Now, I'm getting confused. Now I have to turn left. Well, so turning left is good at one time, and then it's not good. Turning right is good. So beliefs are like stepping stones. They're temporary. They're not permanent. And here's a great example of a belief that does no longer serves you. Okay. Um, Imagine there's a three-story ladder, and then you're going to climb it. And it's going to take you to the roof of a three-story building. Now, then when you get there, he said, "Oh my God, what a beautiful helicopter!" And the driver comes out and says, "Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. I'm going to take you to your dream destination that you've always wanted to go to. Hop on in, and we'll go there. It'll be the experience of a lifetime." And you say, "Wow, this is fantastic. Let me grab my ladder." And the pilot says, "I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry, sir. It won't fit. We cannot take it. It's impossible." And you plead and go on, and says, "Okay, can't take you." And I said, "All right, you're up against the wall. I'm really intrigued by wanting to go to my dream destination. So I will let go of my ladder. I will leave it be. I will thank it. You were loyal for 3 years that it took me to climb to this building, and you honor it. You thank it. You don't throw it out the window. You don't kick it in the balls or in the stomach. You just, yeah. And so you let go, like in the Tao Te Ching, they have a passage that sort of like says, grab hold tightly, let go lightly. When you're saying goodbye, you hug someone and then slowly let go and say, I'll see you around. We'll meet again. It'll be soon. So beliefs are like creatures on the mental plane. They are just like feelings we have are creatures on the emotional plane. We are called creatures. Is that correct? Do you know one of the reasons we're called creatures?
No.
Because it's our ordained right and privilege and obligation to create. That's what creatures do. They create. And we create our universe. We are not the victim. We are the creators of our own domain. We are the creators. And when we take responsibility for having created the mess that we've gotten into our lifetimes, as well as the accolades for having created wonderfulness in our life, we're no longer the victim. We cannot ever blame anyone else for the situation we're in. Now, there's a man named Bill Wilson who started Alcohol Anonymous. Have you ever heard of Alcohol Anonymous?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, Bill Wilson is one of the two founders. Okay. My name is Phil Wilson. I'm going to start Blamers Anonymous. I used to be a blamer. I used to blame everything was not my fault. Okay. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but truthfully, if you're going to be a victim, you're dead in the water. I mean, there is, and the way to realize this is once you realize, again, you can be intellectually aware that there is no death, but you don't act like it because you haven't had the experience. And so the question is how to help people awaken. Sometimes it happens organically. Like I awakened through a trauma when my girlfriend found another boyfriend.
Oh,
And
is that what happened? Okay.
yeah. And when I realized actually he could give her what she needed and I couldn't, I finally had to surrender. And for 2 3 days I was like a zombie walking around, and the only thing kept me sane was the fact that I had to teach an honors calculus class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I was a TA for the teacher who gave the classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and these were the most brilliant freshman mathematicians at Indiana University. I was a senior and I was a TA for them. So that's when I had the realization I needed to get involved in music, art, and dance, which a couple of years later I actually saw that wasn't no realization. They actually took me out of my body and showed me what I needed to do and explained to me and then connected me to the current that goes into the heart of creation or God. Oh my God, and here I am, not even religious. I was born a Reformed Jew, and my family was not religious. I was not religious, and I thought everyone who believed in God was crazy. And I'm reading Ellen Book's The Taboo Against Knowing Who You Are. I'm reading that book back in 1971, about 14 months later, at the first Earth Day in Washington, D.C. that I went to. And my friend has this book, The Taboo Against Knowing Who You Are. And there is a taboo against knowing who you are, but by Alan Watts, who wrote many, many books. And he was quite well read in the early 70s by so many of the people who were just, like a lot of them opened up because of drugs, and a lot of them opened up, some of them opened up just because of life experiences. But there was a renaissance, with the Beatles, and before that, Bob Dylan, the Beatles, and all the rock bands from England, and all the things going on. There was a renaissance, and then there was absurdity, going to Vietnam for some war that was simply, it was a political war, had nothing to do with anything. And of course, what are we fighting for? And it was crazy. And then they assassinated the Kennedys. They assassinated, um, the CIA is not your friend. The FDA is not your friend. And all these things. And even in the last 3 4 years, when you have these absurdities, you have censorship. There's never been censorship in the United States. We've been talking about the evils of censorship in communist countries, and now you have communist California, communist Canada, and God knows what else is happening in the world. And so, I started writing my book. The thought of the book was in 1970. At first, I was going to call it Autobiography of a Yogi. I mean, not of a yogi, but of a mind, when I thought I was my mind, but I'm not my mind. I'm not my emotions. Every cell in my body has consciousness. Every cell in my body has consciousness. Every, every, and they can communicate. And what you want to do is you want to, if they're messing up, you can love them, give them the attention and the respect and honor them, and they will abide. There's a movie called Camelot. You've seen the movie Camelot? And in the book, Richard Harris, the actor, or King Arthur, was saying, everything is beautiful, the suns are shining, the flowers are growing, because I decreed it. He decreed it. So we decree what we want in our life. And if you saw the movie The Secret, or whatever you want to call it, from way
I
back.
have. Mm-hmm.
And the secret was, I was just so excited when that came out, because I was already aware and awake. I said, this is great, great, great. Some people, poo-pooed it because it was incomplete, but I just was grateful that it brought out so much. But
Mm-hmm.
see, the secret to things manifesting in your life is you have to let go of wanting it by being willing to not have. If you're willing to not have, then you can have. Okay. In other words, like in the book by Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations of God. Are you familiar with that book?
No.
It's a classic. I don't know what, I think it came out in the 80s, but there's a series of 3 books called Conversations with God. He was homeless and life was, and he started writing these questions. He was really, really freaking out, and he just wrote it out on a pad, and then he got an answer. And then he asked a question, he got an answer. And so he wrote all this out and wrote the book Conversations with God. He called it God, good as name as any, has an impact. The concept of God, you've heard of thou shalt have no graven images before me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a graven, I saw the 10 Commandments when I was a kid, and the graven image was basically a golden calf.
Right.
Okay, but there are graven images on every dimension of being. In
Mm-hmm.
the mental plane, the world of the mind, a graven image is a concept. So thou shalt have no graven images before me. Your concept of God is interfering with and making it impossible for you to experience God. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So at any rate, you do some talking. Ask me some questions. Tell me about your,
Well,
yeah.
I was interested in the Kundalini. So, how did you learn Kundalini? Did somebody teach you that? Is there a difference between Kundalini and yoga?
Well, yes and no, and yes. There's a teaching called Kundalini Yoga,
Mm-hmm.
and that's there's a man who came over from India, Yogi Bhajan, and he started the 3HO organization, and they teach Kundalini Yoga. They started in the late 60s or early 70s, and I went to a couple Kundalini Yoga classes in New Orleans and in Columbus, Ohio. And there was a man named Rudrananda who in Bloomington, Indiana, he was teaching a different kind of Kundalini. And the Kundalini is the basically the dormant energy of the divine that is stored in the root of your spine. And that can be awakened through yoga practices, and that's part of the yoga philosophy to awaken. And it's like um, you basically want to shoot out of your head into another world of freedom in another dimension, and eventually beyond time and space into the heart of creation or God. One of the best books on someone who actually took a journey through the inner world into the heart of creation or God is a book called The Tiger's Fang, and it's by a man called Paul Twitchell. It's called The Tiger's Fang, and it's like a strange title for a journey into the heart of creation. But in the end of the book, the poet Rumi, the great saint from the 11th, 12th, or 13th, 14th century Persia. He was a Sufi master. He was taught by Shamazai Tabriz, and before that he was an intellectual, and then he awakened to, and you become mad when you awaken, because you have to lose your mind in order to use your mind, or only madmen may enter. And because when you enter into the worlds of beyond the mind, you're thought to be crazy, and anyone who is of the mind and has no clue of the reality of who we are is going to slander and libel and complain. And you have this in the political arena as well. Anytime someone starts speaking the truth, because negativity cannot, for example, if a spiritual teacher who shines a lot of light, they go into a city, all of a sudden it'll snow and be miserable. That's the reaction of a pure positive God force coming into negativity. And then the next time it comes, then the sun will shine, because now that you're awakened, now you appreciate and love that spiritual energy. But until then, you're going to react, you're going to complain, because your livelihood is being threatened. Who you think you are is being threatened, and it's like an animal caged. It's gonna do everything it can to be alive, just like the people in the political arena, hiding their corruption, they'll do anything they can to not get caught, and because they don't know that they're soul, they don't know that they're a divine spiritual being in this body having an experience. That's all this is the ash can of the universe. The physical world is the lowest of the low. It's for us to get experiences, and we can have wonderful time here. But the goal is not to actually make Earth a better place. That is not the goal. That's the byproduct of souls on this planet unfolding and recognizing who and what they are, that they're not their body, they're not their mind, and that they are divine beings of love. They are dots of love in an ocean of love. They are units of awareness. They're having experiences, and it's like, nothing is real. Strawberry fields forever. I mean, there are things are said. What is one of the greatest songs ever written? Row, row, row your boat. Don't write Mary's boat. Row your own boat. Merrily, merrily, merrily. Wait. No, let's see. Row, row, row your boat. What's the
Gently down the stream.
Gently down the stream. Gently.
Mm-hmm.
You do want to do gentleness and kindness. You not fiercely, not with hatred. You gently. That's like, it's telling you how to live life. Merrily, merrily, merrily. Man, you better be having the time of your life. If it's not fun, what the hell you doing? Wake up. Why aren't you having fun? And then the punchline, life is but a dream. Yeah, it is. It's just an experience. It's a mock-up. God is not mocked. It's a mock-up. The cast party is so much more fun than the movie. Okay? So when you leave this realm, Shakespeare said, all the world is a stage. We're merely players. We come on, we do our part, and we leave. Best movie that explains that is Groundhog's Day. Took him 101,000 lifetimes, 27 years to get from part A to part B, where Andy McDowell plays this woman who becomes the love of his life. And this guy whose name is Phil, and the groundhog's name is Phil, and my name is Phil. Phil means love. So anyway, he has to go through all this rigmarole to finally learn. Well, you can't do this in one lifetime, man. Try to learn about herbs and herbology. Try to learn about medicine. Try to learn about law. I mean, try to learn on construction and architecture, being an artist. Man, you want to be an experienced atom in the body of God, and God uses us as fingers, as fingers and toes in this world to experience what He is, what it is. I mean, it's like this has been fun because I'm giving a very, very elementary explanation to help people become aware that the Indians call it, the yogis call it Maya. It's an illusion. Buddha says all life is suffering. Well, that's because when you're in time and space, you're in pain. Okay. But that's not bad. Pain's not bad. Nothing's bad. See, you get locked in duality. If you're for or against anything, you lock yourself in duality and exile yourself from the God consciousness.
So, do you believe that, I guess after you die, you will become another person?
Well, again, you use that word, the lying word, believe. I know because of my experience that you will continue to exist. Now, if you want an education of what happens when you leave this world, you go to YouTube and put in near-death experiences, and there's about 2, 3, 4, 500 experiences of people who
Mhm.
explain what happens when their body dies temporarily, and they're in the other worlds, and then they got sent back to the body. But
Mhm.
but yeah, when you die, you will continue to exist. You the self image you have is one of the most important images you look at, because whatever you see yourself as, you're going to become that. That's if you give it attention or love or passion. If the image you're looking at you do not like, quit giving it attention. Find a new image to look at. Create a greater you, because we're creatures. That's what our destiny is. We have the choice to choose. And if we choose and we don't like what we choose, we can choose again. There's you have to remember that God of itself, whatever it is gentle and kind. Okay. It doesn't believe in punishment. It doesn't have wrath. That's the space God. That's a two-headed God of good and evil in the mental world. That's not God. God doesn't judge. God knows that we're all atoms in the body of it, and it doesn't care whether we take 1 million years or 20 million years or 1 trillion years or 10 years. It doesn't care, because we're all resting in the heart of creation of God, and we're all loved, and so, when you say God cares, bullshit. God doesn't care. Who are you? You know, who are you to tell me what I should do? When you tell me that I should do something, I say, "Oh my God, you actually know what I should do? This is incredible. You must be God. Can I like kiss the hem of your robe, please?" It's like I don't should on myself, and I do my best not shoulding on others. I pretty much eliminate that word from my vocabulary, because it implies that no, every person chooses. In the final analysis, we get to choose. We choose what to do or not to do. And that's why there's a phrase: if you see the Buddha in the road, kill him. And that's because no one is going to take your authenticity in your domain and tell you what you should do, because that's your choice. And eventually we learn, if we're a freedom lover, and and God is of itself a promoter of freedom. When we tune into the divine current within ourselves, and we tune in and get connected to the heart of God or creation, then we're guided toward becoming more free. If that's what you choose, that's what I choose. So because of that, I get all these realizations that help me become more free. And then all I'm
That's
doing is
awesome.
is like, maybe you don't want to become free. Maybe you want to, eat, raspberries or pancakes or Coca-Cola for the rest of your life, and you're happy doing that. It's not gonna get you into heaven, but or there is no heaven and hell. There's only or there's only heaven, you can say. See, they say heaven is a state of consciousness and hell is a state of mind. Okay, next
Mm-hmm.
question.
Well, I'm interested in your sauna as well. I find it very intriguing. Did you come up with that technology yourself?
The technology, it took 10 years to develop the technology from 1987 to 1997. It was developed in Taiwan by a team of scientists led by Dr. Chang. And they were asked by a Japanese company, can you create like that a wonderful energy that heals, that's in the hot springs in southern Japan where people go and they get healed. And it turned out there's a preponderance of that energy, far infrared energy, at and so when the Relax Sauna company, and they couldn't do it using regular technologies, all the other saunas in America or in the world use either carbon panels or ceramic. And they're all, some people say carbon's better, ceramic's better. Some people use a little bit of both, but I'm talking about a totally different technology of semiconductor chips that actually takes the energy, the frequency, the electricity, and filters out and only gives you the far infrared light between 7 and 14 micron that antidotes EMF, it antidotes sunburn. If you have a sunburn pain of 7 or 8, you go in the Relax Sauna, that pain will be gone every single time. Who would have
That's
thought going into a
incredible.
hot box
Yeah.
goes away? And so far infrared energy, there's a book called Gastro Girl by not a doctor, by Rebecca Harder. And she's a colon hydrotherapist and owns a hyperbaric oxygen chamber clinic. And she's been promoting wooden infrared saunas for 10, 12 years. And then she goes by our booth every year and just turns her nose. And one day she gets in and oh my God, 3 minutes. She said, this is so much better than any other sauna I've been into. And she started promoting, and her book, Gastro Girl, Healing the Colon, because she was a colon hydrotherapist, healing the colon one person at a time. She has all these great information on castor oil, on hydrogen peroxide, on rebounders, on inversion machines, and 100 other modalities that can help you become more healthy. But she's got 25 pages on far infrared saunas and 7 pages on the Relax Sauna, saying if you want to feel fabulous in the 21st century, a far infrared sauna is a must. And the sauna I recommend is the Relax Sauna. And she goes 6, 7 pages explaining why, and comparing and explaining why it's so much more effective than far infrared, than the wooden infrared saunas. Number one, you have the convenience. Most saunas take 10 to 50 minutes to warm up. The Relax Sauna takes 10 to 30 seconds to warm up. It's got all loving light. It's portable. You can take it on a plane in a suitcase. You can travel in a bag. It takes 5 minutes to set it up, 2 minutes to tear it down, and you can either do a 20-minute sweat, not an hour sweat. I was selling another portable sauna. It took me 18 minutes to start sweating, 55 minutes for a sweat. This takes 8 minutes to start sweating, 20 minutes for a sweat. And we've got many, many famous athletes, professional baseball teams, holistic doctors, and people with Lyme disease, people who had cancer, people with chronic disease. On the YouTube channel, if you go to YouTube and put Relax Sauna testimonials, and you put that in, and then you get to our a lot of videos, and then you click on the Relax Sauna channel, you click on the logo, and that takes you to our page, and then you click on videos, and you put in Lyme. There's a 20 testimonies from people who said, I don't have symptoms of Lyme. This is what the Relax Sauna to be. For 12 years, nothing seemed to help. In the Relax Sauna in 3 months, got me my life back. And the whole far infrared sauna industry was started and launched by a book by Dr. Sherry Rogers, an environmental doctor, called Detoxify or Die. And she people with multi-chemical sensitivities and all sorts of environmental problems that were causing their bodies all sorts of havoc would come to her, and she'd fix them all in the late 1990s with far infrared saunas. So, that's a little bit of history. We did send 2 other portable saunas and the Relax Sauna to Harvard MIT Science and Technology Lab. We were 450% and 350% more effective than the Amazon sauna and the $1,300 portable sauna in terms of the intensity of the penetration. We were 100% far infrared energy of that exact frequency needed to vibrate the water molecules. The other saunas were only 8% and 0%. It was like, and we had 1/12 the EMF of the low EMF full spectrum sauna.
Hey Ohana, I hope you're loving this conversation as much as I am. I just wanted to pause for a quick moment to ask for your support. If you're enjoying what you're hearing and feel like we've earned it, we'd be so grateful if you could leave us a rating or review. Your honest feedback really helps us grow and reach more people who love exploring these fascinating topics. And if you think this episode would resonate with someone you know, don't forget to share it with them. Mahalo nui loa for being part of our journey. Now, back to the show.
The low EMF full spectrum sauna.
Well, what's the difference between far infrared and near infrared?
That's a great question. Near infrared penetrates 1 to 2 millimeters and is really good for the skin. Mid infrared penetrates a little bit more, and it's good for the muscles. But the far infrared penetrates 40 to 50 millimeters, or 1 3/4 to 2 inches, and is really good for the skin, the muscles, and the core. And it vibrates the water molecules in the skin. It vibrates the water molecules in the muscles. It vibrates the water molecules in the whole body and creates a temperature increase, helps detoxify you. You will not get the detoxifying and purifying effects using near infrared. There's a whole lots of information about near infrared lasers, which is a totally different animal. Near infrared laser can go 9 inches, but the near infrared light bulbs only go 2 millimeters, and they don't penetrate the clothes, nor do they. And like, if you go out into the sun, you're not going to get a sunburn if you have clothes on, because the ultraviolet does not penetrate clothes. Far infrared does penetrate clothes. Red light does not penetrate. Near infrared does not penetrate. They are helpful. They're great. They're part of the energy medicine. Red light has its place and its value. The far infrared 80-90% of the time maybe can do better, but I've experienced, I know people have had good experiences with red light. There's a book on red light therapy by Ari Whitten, and he also is into far infrared saunas. He actually interviewed one of my associates and sold 140 saunas on his podcast. So, just because it's not red light is better or near infrared is better, they do certain things. The near infrared lasers are very good. The near infrared light bulbs is what Kellogg introduced way back. They had the benefits, mild benefits, but because in those days it was called the heat lamps that you find at garage sales, and people would burn themselves from it. So it was not very safe if not used properly, and a lot of people didn't use it properly, so it fell out of disfavor. But they had limited use, but nothing like the far infrared energy, and they're it's like when you experience the loving light of the far infrared ray sauna, the Relax Sauna, it's 100% loving light. Near infrared is not the same vibration as us. It's all about vibration, according to Tesla, Edison, Jacob Lieberman, modern day eye doctor. It's in the frequency of ultraviolet, near infrared, visible light is not the same of us. So we see it as not us, and we resist it unconsciously. The far infrared is the same as us, so we don't even notice it's there, and therefore it gets absorbed and it penetrates very deeply.
Is there anything that you can take maybe to boost this? Like, I don't know, vitamin C an hour before you go in the sauna, does that boost anything?
Yeah, glutathione is a great supplement to take. There are also binders. There's a company called Cellular that sells binders, for example, and you can take those like half an hour before you do the sauna. and your sauna experience will be better. Taking trace minerals, there's many companies that can give you the trace minerals you need to replace those nutrients that you could lose. But 17% of the sweat from a far infrared sauna is toxins. In a Finnish sauna, the wood saunas, only, or exercise, athletic exercise, or working out, or running to the airport, that kind of sweat only has 2% toxins in it. And that's because you're whipping your cells, you're whipping them around and getting those toxins out. When if you get into a hot tub, or the Mayo Clinic says that their heart patients should not use a Finnish sauna. They should not use a hot tub, because then your heart has to race to find an equilibrium between the inside temperature of your body and the outside. Okay, but they recommended, and this is in 2004, that heart patients should all, not should, but if they do, it'll be extremely beneficial for them and very therapeutic to use a far infrared sauna, because it raises the body temperature. So if the body temperature is raised just 1 degree, 2 degrees, the increase in temperature outside of 30, 40 degrees does not stress you out. As a matter of fact, the heart rate variability, have you ever heard of that?
No.
I had not either, but they call it HRV, and it's the heart's ability to function under all situations and to handle stress. And that's one of the biggest benefits you get from a far infrared sauna. There's a lot of research on it, how a far infrared sauna is going to increase heart rate variability. Well, this one guy did some research on reddit.com. When he saw that, he said, oh my gosh, there's an Amazon sauna for $250. Let me see if that works. Well, it didn't. It only increased body temperature 0.5 degree, didn't increase heart rate variability at all. And then there were huge raves on this $500 portable sauna, very similar to the $250 one he got. He bought it, same results. Then he bought a Relax Sauna, raised body temperature 3 degrees in 25 minutes. Heart rate variability, when he saw the results, it blew him away, because it was so much more than the research in far infrared saunas say they can do, is significantly more. And he said, I'd like to recommend, along with cold showers, to use a portable Amazon sauna, but I can't because they don't work. But the Relax Sauna is your best bet, it appears, to use along with cold showers. He published this on reddit.com in 1917, February, not 1917, 2017. See, we didn't need far infrared saunas to detoxify until around 1960, when the world became really, really started to become toxic. And now in the year 2025, oh my gosh. I mean, we put the people, they got those shots that people said you needed to do because of the pandemic. And a lot of people got injured, a lot of people died, athletes were dying on the field. It was a travesty, and it's like, they can't be that stupid. Turns out they weren't that stupid, but that's, for each one of us to find out. And it goes against, because we would never ever do anything like that. It's hard for us to conceive that there are Dr. Mengelas in the world who will do this sort of stuff, because they don't know who they are. If they knew they were soul, they would realize that, as you sow, so shall you reap. Whatever you do to another person, you do to yourself, and you get to experience it someday. So we don't have to be the punisher. God of itself, really, it rehabilitates us. It doesn't want to punish it. But if we demand punishment, it gives us what we want. you know?
Right. Yeah. True. Um, I've noticed there's a lot of those infrared, or maybe it's far infrared blankets, the
Yes.
sauna blankets. Do those work, and do you sell those?
We do not sell them. We will not sell them. They work a little bit. A lot of people get good results. A lot of people, don't get good results. A lot of people give them away. There's a detox specialist in Las Vegas who had this $1,300 portable sauna and was telling me at this conference, "Oh, this is the best sauna out there." They got on the Relax Sauna and they ended up buying it. And then a year later, when I talked to her, she gave me a nice testimony. Says all saunas are not alike. I gave my $1,300 sauna away. I gave my higher dose blanket away, okay, because they left her de-energized, instead of detox and revitalized. They left her de-energized. And, all saunas are going to be good. In other words, if you live 5 miles away from the grocery store and I give you a vehicle, okay, like a bicycle, you're going to be happier than a kid on Christmas morning, okay? Because you got a bicycle and you can take that bicycle to the grocery store and you can bring some groceries back. And I come to you and I say, hey, I got a better vehicle. I said, no, I got my bicycle. I'm happy with it. Yeah, but my vehicle is a Mercedes. And finally, after 2 years, you said, okay, let me try your Mercedes. And you come back and explain, wow, I thought the bicycle was good, but I can actually bring all the groceries back with me now on one trip. So in other words, it's like when you buy a vitamin C supplement or vitamin B complex, you look at the dose, you look at how much of each element is in it. So all saunas are not alike. First of all, we're 1,400 watts, not 1,000 watts or 900 watts. So we're already 1.5 times the strength. We've been measured by 4 universities. We give you the 7 to 14 micron frequency, and only that. Because we use semiconductor chips and advanced technology, we can actually give you 100% of the active ingredient. You're familiar with turmeric and curcumin?
Yes.
Well, curcumin is the active ingredient that makes the turmeric so effective for getting rid of pain and everything that it does. Well, we give you 100% active ingredient in the Relax Sauna. We call it 100% loving light because it's the same frequency as us. And because it's the same frequency, we don't resist it. It's absorbed. And it's like a mother's hug. It's like divine love. And the other saunas give you all the near infrared and all the mid infrared. And that does not penetrate. It's a little harsh because we can't absorb it. So so you have a mixture in those saunas of soft light and harsh light, but the little bit of soft light is good, and it's very therapeutic. So all the saunas are going to be good, because if you go on Amazon or you go to any wooden infrared sauna, they're always going to have some people saying, I love this sauna, it has changed my life. Absolutely. I can give you a great idea and you say, wow, that changed my life. And a year later, I can give you another idea and you can accept it or reject it. But there's no limit to freedom. There's always another level of freedom. And the way we get freedom is we let go of the lies. Because every lie we believe, every belief we have, we're the slave to. And if you can limit your beliefs, then I mean, if you think in order to be warm in the winter you have to wear a coat, well, there's jackets, there's shawls, there's just imagine yourself being in the shining sun, and then you could handle more of it. I mean, you can do stretching exercises. It's like the 90-pound weakling can become a hero. It's all there's no limit to, because if you read the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull in 1971 by Richard Bach, the seagull is pretending it's like a human, and it's, instead of wanting to just squawk for food, it actually is fascinated by the different ways it can fly. See, and in other words, it has a higher purpose of life. So the analogy is, we're all limitless seagulls. We're not limited to the scratch and dent to get food in a world that is full of competition. No, we're divine light beings in this world, having experiences so we can become more free, so we can be more loving, so we can shine, and so we can, become the destiny that we always wanted to be, that we really are, that we are.
Yeah. I like the idea that the sauna, it allows your head to be out.
Yes,
It
there's Wally had a company called Women's Health International. It was like a compound pharmacy that sold to health food stores and to health professionals. And he had a wooden sauna. He used it all the time. His wife would never go in it, not once. We were at a conference. His wife was in the Relax Sauna 4 times a day. He bought it for her. She uses it all the time. She loves it because her head's out. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of women and men too do not want to put their head in because then they can't stay as long and it's not a very pleasant experience. So we're pro-choice. Now, I talked to this one guy. He's about 6'4", weighs about 250 pounds. He can't put his head in, but I can. And most people conduct their head in the relaxed sauna as well. But it is nice when you have the option to put your head in.
Mm-hmm.
But in Ayurvedic medicine, they frown against getting the head hot.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting. So a large person can fit in that comfortably.
I fit 7'1", big man,
Wow.
435 pounds in. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know, he fit in, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, Darren is probably about maybe 300 pounds, 6'4". He fits in, loves it, has the best sweat of his life. Many athletes, we have professional football players, professional basketball players. I was talking to John Scally the other day. He's a basketball player who turned the Detroit Pistons around, I don't know, 30 years ago or whatever. And he got two relaxed saunas from us. The baseball team, the Los Angeles Dodgers, used it during the World Series last year. We sent
Wow.
two saunas to Citi Field where they played the Mets for the national championship. I got a picture of one of the Dodgers in the sauna at Citi Field during the national championship games. And we have a lot of athletes and businessmen and achievers and people who have cancer with people who are sick, and then we have all the health enthusiasts, the biohackers of the world. Love the
Mm-hmm.
relaxed sauna, and the relaxed sauna is slowly becoming their favorite sauna. Of
Nice.
the YouTube testimonies, about 200 of them from people who bought the relaxed sauna and had already owned other saunas, like $8,000 wooden saunas, $1,300 portable saunas, and by far the relaxed sauna, far more therapeutic, felt better, and they got better results and instant results that they could not get from the other saunas.
Wow. So can you put like a water, maybe a glass of water inside the sauna while you're doing the sauna, and does that restructure the water as well?
Well, the far infrared energy, by its nature, it restructures the water in your body.
Nice. So
It
that would be a
that's
good
what
idea
it
to
does.
do at the same time.
You don't need to put water in there. However, you can, when you're not in there, you could put water in and then drink it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was
But
thinking at the same time.
yeah, you don't want to have a steam sauna.
No, no.
You get wet
Yeah.
enough. You get wet enough.
Mm-hmm.
One, I put the person in the sauna, and within half a minute, she says, "Where's the water coming from?" Your body. Because
Nice.
it's all about the water, and far
Mm-hmm.
infrared energy and water are the same frequency, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
water loves far infrared energy. Not near, not mid, not red light, far infrared energy.
Mm.
Water is the far infrared molecule. You are a far infrared light being. Daniel Brinkley says we are spiritual light beings. He wrote a great book called Saved by the Light, all about, and Secrets of the Light, all about his near-death experience when he was hit by lightning in 1976, and he was left for dead, and he was dead for 26 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, and then
Wow.
he must have had years worth of experiences in the world talking to spiritual beings, explaining a lot of the future of what's going to happen, and also the reality that you are responsible and you are a free being and you don't die.
Wow. Well, Phil, this has been an absolute pleasure to have you on this show today. Your insights into holistic health, Kundalini, far infrared technology have truly been enlightening, and I'm so grateful for the wisdom that you shared with us today and with our listeners. And so mahalo nui lo for taking the time to join us. But before we wrap up, can you tell the audience where they can learn more about you? I know you mentioned it earlier,
Yeah.
where they can find your Relaxana and more of your work.
Yes, I'll be glad to do that. Um, the website is relaxsaunas.com. That's it's plural. We also have another website that I prepared It's called relaxsaunas.com/superior, and that's got the latest information on it. And then we also have the YouTube channel. You go to YouTube and you put in Relax Sauna testimonials, and you go down, and most of the first videos will have a Relax Sauna logo on it from our page. You click on that, go to the Relax Sauna page, and there's about 1,000 videos, a number of my talks, a number of my interviews, but most of them are testimonial interviews of 2 minutes to 7 minutes, and occasionally you get a 10 or 15 or 20-minute interview, but most of them are between 1 minute and 5 minutes, about people in the sauna coming back after having had it for 3 years, 5 years, 2 years, 7 years, 17 years, and saying how much value the Relax Sauna has given them in their life. And others who spontaneously say, the guy had sciatica pain from a 7 to 8 pain constantly for 6.5 weeks. He goes in the sauna. He did a double dose, and he let himself sweat. He was in for 15 minutes, and he came out and jumped up and down and said, "No pain, no pain." He said, "Oh, if I was a multimillionaire, I'd buy this for every old age home in the country." It's like, I mean, you experience gratefulness. I put people in and said, this is like an example of gratefulness. When you come out, you'll be grateful, and say, "I already am grateful." I said, "Yes, but this will take it to another level. You'll have another something to be grateful for." And frankly, a fire and fit sauna is one of the major appliances, especially the Relax Sauna, that belongs in every house. It will transform your house into a home, because where there's a home, there's a hearth. That's a place of warmth.
Wow.
And my personal websites is philipawilson.com. Philip is spelled with 2 L's. And then my forthcoming book, coming out in August of this year, 2025, is picturesofthemind.com. Picturesofthemind.com. And then you should be able to contact me from those 2 websites. My email is simple to remember. It's phil@relaxsaunas.com. People are more than willing to contact me. I have a health food store in Columbus, Ohio, called Momentum98.com, or Momentum 98 Natural Health Store. And that's in Columbus, Ohio, where I've been selling all sorts of products since 1980. And I still have the store, but I let other people run it. I moved to Las Vegas, Nevada about 6-7 years ago. And my people do an excellent job running the health food store and shipping out Relax Saunas to people. We also have a mini warehouse in Las Vegas, so anyone who wants a Relax Sauna can have it in 2 or 3 days. There's a silver one that's $1,700. There's a black one that's $2,300. You can use the coupon Miya 25 and get $150 off through the end of May 2025, or $100 off throughout eternity. And the difference between the black sauna was created for rich Taiwanese who wanted to feel special, like being a member of the Harley Club. and so they made it special by making it twice as thick, and it does retain the heat a little bit better. So most of the Major League Baseball teams will get the black sauna. But it also it's got that beautiful embroidered logo in ivory. It looks really nice. And so if you work at a high-end spa and money doesn't matter, and they say, "I want that one, it looks great in my spa," and so they'll get that one. Or if you just if you have a $3,000 couch in your house, and not a $1,200, not a $300 couch, and you love the way the Relax Sauna looks and money is not an issue, definitely get the black sauna. If you're really concerned about your health and money's a factor, then get the silver sauna. You're not sacrificing your health by getting the silver sauna. It was selling for $695 23 years ago, or $795, and now it's selling for $1,700. The Amazon saunas were selling for $595 back then, and now they're selling for $250, $300, $400. So we were way underpriced, and they were overpriced. But it's really the most therapeutic sauna you can get. It belongs in every home. It transforms houses into homes. It'll transform a person's health in 3 days to 3 weeks. I've got many doctors on the YouTube testimonies saying that the Relax Sauna has been the best investment in my health I have ever made. I have a doctor, a cancer doctor in New York, saying he doesn't understand how people can function without the Relax Sauna, because it puts you at another level of attunement and creativity. And it's like there was a lady, Karen Russell, back in 2007. She had heavy metal of mercury and lead in her body for 30 months. The blood reports came back off the charts. And she was talking to Doris Rapp at a conference, who wrote the book Our Toxic World. Doris said, go see Phil. She saw me. She got a Relax Sauna. A month and a half later, her blood report came back normal for the mercury and the lead. And she lost 67% of her cellulite.
Wow.
Her skin was radiant. It was no longer dry. And I had a lady who is a vegan raw food chef. And she says, Phil, are you a vegan? This is about 10 years ago. And I used to be, but I wasn't now. So I was hemming and hawing. She says, Phil, if you're not a vegan and your skin that looks that good, I'm getting a sauna. So it always makes your skin look well. And the breathing and the asthma and all these things are so much improved. I mean, a person, when they've been in the Relax Sauna, I mean, there's a guy who from LA, and he bought a sauna for me 18, 19 years ago. And his skin just looks so pretty, and you can sometimes tell who's been using saunas and who hasn't. But it clears up acne. If you ever have menstrual cramps, it'll get rid of menstrual cramps in 3 to 5 minutes every time. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like the best health toolkit you can have in your home. And I travel with it. There's a man who runs the Hippocrates Holistic Health Clinic in West Palm Beach. They sell it in their store. It's a cancer clinic, you could say, for chronic disease. And he travels with it. He went to Costa Rica about a month ago, and he called them up, and they didn't have a sauna there. So he took his Relax Sauna with him on the plane. And it's always in my hotel room.
So it's pretty light then. You can carry it.
Yeah, it weighs the radiator's 14 pounds, the tent's 4 pounds, the chair's 10. So, if you get a Samsonite suitcase, or you can get, the 28-inch suitcases, some of them are 21 inches wide, and it'll fit in there because the chair's 20 inches wide. But sometimes I'll just travel without the chair and just use the hotel chair, or I'll just sit on the floor.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Phil. I really appreciate it. And that brings us to an end of another episode. I want to thank my special guest, Phil Wilson, for sharing his journey from the Kundalini awakening to the decades of experience in the holistic health and infrared therapy. Whether or not you've used a Relax Sauna before, I hope you've enjoyed this conversation, and I hope it gave you something to think about. And just remember, Phil offered us 2 codes, either Miya 2025 or Miya. And again, I don't receive any commissions or benefits from those codes. They're simply a gift from Phil to you as a listener. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow, subscribe, and tap that bell so you don't miss what's coming next. You can also support the show by heading over to my website, checking out the books and tools I recommend, or by buying me a coffee. And of course, Patreon is the best way to get the early access and behind-the-scenes contents. And mahalo nui loa for tuning in, and I'll see you the next time. Bye.